We'll start this in a simple way. I mean, how DNS works and how to do it. So, as I told you, right? So, DNS is domain name system or a domain name service. So, what does it do? It resolve our website. I mean, it resolve our IP address to domain names. As I told you, right? So, let's say here, if you see some guy named Praveen Dandu24.medium.com or medium.com, let's say, or googlemeet.com. You're just using the domain names, not the IP address anywhere. You don't use that. You don't use the IP address. You just use only the domain names. Why we need to domain names? We just have already the IP address, right? But you can't remember the IP address. One thing, and the IP address are not static. They're dynamic. They'll be changing. So, and it's not a good approach to use IP address to access your official application. That's why to easily remember the, the application also, we use the domain name. See how many IPs you remember. It's difficult. But how many domain names you remember? If you say, Google, Facebook, YouTube, Google Meet, Google Drive or something, anything. There are so many things which we remember. So it's easy to remember the names than numbers. So DNS helps with for us in that. So it will say you don't need to worry about the IP address. You create your own domain and point the IP address to that one. I'll take care of it. That's how usually it works. So it will resolve the domain to IP, IP to domain to keep it. If you say keep it as a definition of DNS, it will resolve your IP address to domain, domain to IP. Now let's see how it resolves. What does it mean resolve is? Let's say we have a name, right? Everyone have a name. And everyone have some, let's say, Aadhaar numbers, let's say, or PAN number. That's our identification also. I mean, that's a government identification, right, for us. So if someone calls you my PAN number, will we respond or no? We'll see who called my PAN number or who called my other number, right? So we'll try to see who called you. We'll try to respond back. But it's not easy to call everyone by PAN numbers. It's not easy to remember their PAN numbers every time. So names are easier. That's why. Here also what happens is IP addresses are difficult to remember. Names are easy. But when we call an IP address, sorry, when we call a domain name, IP address will respond to it. So how is we map these two things? We link these two things. In the simpler terms, we link the domain name to IP address. Now when you call a domain name, the IP address reacts and give the response back. So that is what happening. That is what's happening. So how to map this domain name to our IP address? Let's say we have easy to write. We just practicing yesterday, day before yesterday like this. Or that easy to. I easy to have some IP address. I want map that IP address to domain. How to do it? There are a couple of ways because if you want a domain, you have to purchase it. If you want it to be recognized, like there are something I forgot. Yeah, GoDaddy is one thing. There are so many things. GoDaddy in AWS also there is one Route 53. GoDaddy is a famous one. I mean, there are so many things. See, hosting Raja, Namecheap, something. See, GoDaddy, Google Domains, Wix also there. See, register.gov.in. So many are there. You can choose the cheap one, whichever is suitable for you, and you can simply create your domain. GoDaddy, I think we have to create an account. Let's see. Let's say I want this domain. What is this? Let's say 1 rupee. Sazil.com is. It's not 12.99, just 1 rupee. First year only with 3 year term. Let's try. See now 600, 550 for you. That's it. Professional email also will get it. Maybe 600 overall. 550 plus blah blah something 60. Professional. See, it will come for me around 600 per year. So like this, usually any company they'll register. We'll see. I mean, oh, for 3 years. So let's click for 1 year. How much it is? 1906. Why? See, it was just 1 rupee when I started, right? See now, that's how usually it will be. Total 2000 per year. Let's say if I give 3 years, for 3 years it's 4,000. So based on this, I mean, I'm just looking. I'll buy it, but not now. So yeah, here what happens is usually any company, but it's a little costly. I mean, three, six, 4,600. It's a little costly. Usually they'll go whichever is cheaper, they'll go with that because of budget and everything. So they create a domain name. So they'll have an IP address mapping to that. So once they create a domain name, they'll get the IP address of our server wherever it's running, and they'll add that IP address in for this domain. What happens is there is it. So what happens is like it will start activity once you open a website. Sorry, you let's say here our pressagile.com. Whatever the IP which I give, it will open. I mean whatever it's running there. So how it works generally? Let's start in simple terms. Maybe let's start with this image only. Let's say in your laptop you opened Google http.google.com. So this is your laptop. Let's see the first step. It will look for it in your local cache. Every laptop have a local cache, right? Even phone also will have cache. So when you open google.com, it will look in your cache, says that is it exist? Is it exist in your local cache? Why it will be exist? Because if you opening this website for the first time, what I'm saying, right? If you open your website for the first any website for the first time in laptop, it won't be it will be open for the first time. It means there is no cache available for that website. When you open a website for the 10th time, there will be cache stored related to the website in your laptop. It's general. I mean, see, if you go cache, when you do something repeatedly, it will store cache so that when you try to access it again, it will give you from the cache. So it will be faster response. So usually, let's say I'm opening for the first time. First time I'm hitting this pressagile.com. Correct? So no here. So no, it checked on local cache. It says some files called host files. And our response should be no because we are opening it for the first time. So what are these host files? Where are the host files is? Let me open. Let me just increase the font. Maybe. All right. So in locally there were two files in Linux. Usually I think in Windows also same. Resolve.com. So these are the two files. which will be present in Linux in this path. In Windows also resolve.conf file will be there, but I don't know the path where it will be. So host files, right? What I told. So it will look for these files. So first what it will do, let's say hit a website, something, our website. It will look in local cache. I mean, sorry, let me keep local cache, and it will try to, if it is yes, it will give it back immediately. If let's say you are opening maybe for the 100th time, or second time, it will be stored in cache, so it will give you back easily. But it is not there, it will try to talk to this host files also. It will look into who this host files also. Can you resolve this? Can you able to resolve this? Now, since this is the first time we are opening, if you see, what is the thoughts of your folks don't know the IP, query this IP address. It means in locally you're opening a website for the first time, it doesn't know what is IP address, right? Then once you don't have anything, I mean, once it couldn't find anything in your local, then what it will do? It will go to internet. It will go to internet. So in internet, there are something called root servers. Root servers, DNS root servers. So DNS root servers, what happens is whenever you register a domain name, it will come under any of these root server, the categories. You will see once you see the image. See, root servers. Root servers are divided into categories based on the domain names. So it will be .com, .org, .net as an example, like this. See, Wikipedia.org, Google.com, Amazon.com, SpeedTest.net. So these are divided based on country codes also. Here in the image, it's not showing. So based on country codes means .us, .uk, .in. You might have seen, right? Those websites also. So it will go to these root servers. Root servers present in the internet. There are 13 root servers, 1 3. So when you reach the domain now, let's say my domain name is registered here. What happens is like I will be, not I. Once I register it, this whatever this these are authorized domain sellers. I mean, not only this, every most of the things. So this name server will be sorry, this domain name will be updated and in the internet, so that root servers can able to track it. Root servers can able to track it, okay, track the website. Okay, it's new, there is a website. Blah, blah, blah. So here what's happening is it will go to internet as I told you. What is the first step? What is the first step it will to see? What is the top level domain name for a server for a .com domains? So first, when you get once the request goes to internet, it will check what is the website name. Is it .com, .in, .us? Based on the category, it will send the request to it. Let's say if it is tracagile.in, so it will go to root servers, one of the root servers based on the country code, and it will check query there. If it is .com, it will go to the main root server. So for now, let's say .com. What is the top level domain for .com? So it will go there, internet, and it will query in the root server. It will try to fetch it, whether this domain name exists or not. Okay. Next step is there will be, if you see here, sixth step. So give me an authorized name server.com domain. What is a name server? Let's see. A name server is a type of a DNS server which stores all the DNS records for a domain, including some A records. That's records we haven't gone so far yet, but we'll see. So it's a DNS server that stores the DNS records. We'll see what are those DNS records. Where is it? Yeah. So testagile.in.com we hit and it will go to DNS server, sorry, root servers. Root servers, it will go based on the domain name I told you, right? .in, .com like this. Let's say our case .com. So it went to root server. And how it works usually here is there is something called name server, no, not name server, records. What are records is in this records only we define like the mapping as I told you IP address to domain mapping or domain to some other domain mapping. There are multiple records like that in DNS. So we create our own record. We create those. We use those any of those records to map our domain name to IP address. We can map a domain name to domain name also. Let's say I have this as an example. Let me go here. I have a website. So if I hit this is the website, but I don't want to give this.com to anyone, and I don't want to change it also. So this when I hit this domain, it should go to this. So either domain or IP address. So as I told you, right, records. We'll be creating few records for our things. Let's say if you want to map a domain name to IP address, we call it A record. Let's say if you want to map to IPv6 address, there are two IP addresses, AA record. And if you want to map domain name to domain name, it will be CNAME record. There are so many like this. The most famous ones we use this and this. So just for this class, I'm telling you only three. There are few more things, but we don't use any of those. I mean, we don't use means I never used it so far, but I know they exist. I know they exist by default. Some will create it. Mostly, I use these three. Not even three, only two. This V6 I never used. So, see, you created a domain, correct now? Pressagile.com. As I told you now, I I have an IP address. So if I want to point this website pressagile.com to my website, correct? That's my final case. How you do it? You bought a domain. Cool. That's correct. You have a domain now, but you have an application somewhere in running server in some server. So the server have IP address. So you have to point that domain to server IP address. How to point that? You have to create a record, something called a record. Just the name is just we open AWS. No, no, not this. Okay, let's show here. This is something called the Route 53 service is there. Forget about the service, but this is the DNS. Just like GoDaddy here, we can create our own website. Uh, let's see where I can create our. We can create, but this account should be exist. See, we can register domain. We try. Yes, .com. We'll search whether it is available or not. It is available, it seems. Price $14 per year. This is cheaper, right? If you see, $14 means what is the US dollar now? 83 rupees. Let's say 84. 84 into 14. Oh, how much it is? I don't know. 84, 840, 840 plus 836. It's around 1100 something. Here, it's 1400, 1500. It's like this. So they'll look whichever is cheaper and they'll buy it. As of now, I think two are costly. So they'll see something else. But that's okay. That's not our thing. Domain registration is not our thing. So usually the companies will do it. So they won't give to you. Let me create this sample thing. Domain annual characters. Okay. Oh, okay. It's already reserved. Forget about what is this hosted zone. I'll tell you later. I just wanted to show you create records. See, these are the records, DNS records. A record, as we told you, route traffic to an IPv4 address and some AWS, forget about AWS service, to an IPv4 address from domain. See, that's what we told, right? Domain to IP. Now another AA, route traffic to IPv6 address. See, that's what there will be CNAME. There is CNAME, yeah, CNAME. Route traffic to another domain, as we discussed here. So if you once we have the domain name, everything is ready, we create a record to point the traffic. Then only it will work. So we created I mean, if it is IP address, you can create this one, a record. If it is domain, you can create serial. But in general scenario, in everyday scenario in companies, mostly they don't use IP address for original domain. They don't use that because IP changes. It's not common. It's not static unless you have a static IP. So it will change frequently. So what they'll do is they'll have something called load balancer or something. Don't worry about those things now. So they'll point the domain to load balance. Load balance never won't change by using a CNAME record. Correct, right? So they'll create a record like this, and it will take maybe around 5 10 minutes. Not even 10 minutes. Before only it will start syncing. Then you can able to use it. Got it? So now I told you so. Records are created now for sixth step. So it fetched the record. Okay, it found the IP address. We'll try to resolve it, whether the IP correct or not, blah blah. Whether it is mapping or not. And it once it's got the result, it will give the IP address for that page whatever you open. And if you see, it will fetch the IP address, whatever the IP address based on the records only. Finally, it will opens to you in your laptop. All this happens within a fraction of seconds in front of you. Not in front of you, but when you open a website, let me open YouTube, let's say. See, it's done, correct? It's open, right? So by this time, that is this. All these steps are done. By this time, by opening website. You don't see those in the foreground. You'll see this in background processing will happen. That's how a domain name works. I mean, a resolve DNS resolve works. Got it? So like, let's say now we're saying all this. Let's say I hit something called press site can't be reached. Why? Because there is no domain like com, right? So that is it. I hit same thing happens now. Com I hit. It'll go to local cache, it'll go to host files. It's not there, it'll go to internet. Internet, it'll go to root servers here, and it'll check for this domain, whether this domain exists or not. But we haven't bought it, right? It's still not created. So this in this DNS servers, in the DNS root servers, this domain does not exist. So it throws an error. This domain does not exist. Check it. The domain exists, what happens? It will give you the response. Got it? So usually this is how DNS works. How it resolves everything. I mean, you don't need to install it or anything. You don't need to do anything for this. All you have to do is like, get a domain. I mean, that too you don't get it. So when you want, let's say when an organization wants to create a domain, it's involved with money, right? You have to pay for it. So you don't be involved. There will be lots of approvals, lots of people involved. Then, if it is okay, from some other team from finance maybe or some team will be there. They'll create and give it to you. You won't be having access to create directly. Got it, got it. So you'll be doing in DNS is creating records, pointing your records to IP address or a domain names like this. Correct. So and DNS records, as I told you, right? Those are the very important things because once you create a record only, it works. Let's say you created a domain name. Will it open directly? No, right? You have to do some configuration inside to point the domain to the IP address or other domain name by using the records. A record, AA, CNAME record. I mean, there are multiple records. I just told only three because these are okay. So like this. So this is about DNS. There are a few commands in DNS we can able to use. I mean, what are the commands is to check. Let's say I want to check an IP address of a website. How to check it? I want to check I want to see whether the domain is working or not. Sometimes what happens is DNS resolve errors we'll see. Like website is there. I mean, the domain is there, but when try to access it won't open. It won't resolve. It will fail for some reasons. At the time, what will see? We'll try this. I think in Windows also it should be there. There's something. Okay, it's not there. Let me open Git Bash. There is first thing. There is something called dig command. This will we can give a domain to this one. It will give the IP address back. Let's see. Oh, dig not found. I don't have a Linux server. Anyone logged into Linux server currently? You can try this command. Let me write. So usually what happens is dig google.com. This will give the list of IP address. It can be one IP, it can be two IPs, it can be three IPs, something. It will give the list of IP address if the domain exists. And if you add this dig plus short, what happens is with the first command, it will give so much output. You may be confused with this. But with this short means it will reduce the output and it will show you only the IP address, not anything else. Got it? So that's what the dig command. DIG. So I'm not showing because I don't have a server now. I deleted that. So it'll take again time. So, but you keep practice it. So this is called dig. There is some other thing called NS lookup. I think this should present in Windows. Definitely. NSLO. Okay. Yeah, it's present. NS lookup. Let's say google.com. Let's see what happens. See, it's give the response back. It means this domain name is working fine. No errors. Let's see. Can't find trustedweb.com, non-existent domain. Domain is not there. This NS lookup, how it works is like if you give a domain name, it will give the response back, saying that it will give the IP address also. If you see, so it will give the response back. It will try to resolve it, whether it exists or not. I mean, whether this exists or not. If it is exist, whether it is working or not. If it is working, it will give the response back. If not, let's say trustedweb.com is not there, as you know, so it's can't find non-existent domain. But let's say google.com is not working. I mean, Google itself is down. Let's say if you hit an NS lookup google.com, if it is down, I mean, this website is down, it, it won't load this. It will keep on failing, trying, because it cannot resolve it. So that's how usually we use NS lookup domain. So there are there's one more command, I guess, ping. I think you know this to check the response whether it is replying or not. See, we got the reply. Ping. See, could not find the host down testazul.com because it's not registered yet. That's why. But Google is registered. Let's say Google is down. It won't get the reply. It's a not reachable, unreachable something. This ping also will be helpful in checking the connections, I mean network connections. Ping anything, IP or a domain. Correct. So these three commands usually we use generally these three commands. Let's say we want to find IP address, we'll use dig. We want to do DNS lookup to whether it's resolving or not. As I told you, right? Sometimes DNS won't work properly. It can't resolve it, or it is like when you open a website with a domain name, it won't open. But when you open the same website with an IP address, whichever aside the IP address to them, it will open. It means there is something issue in resolving the domain, right? So at the time we'll see this NS lookup where it is working out, and ping just to check the communication is there or not, and whether we are communicating with or connectivity is there or not. That's it really. Got it right? So these are few commands we use. Don't worry, in the document what I showed, these are present. Okay, that's it about DNS. It's not like fully we covered everything in DNS, but which we use on a regular basis, which we use, when we go to organization also. So that I covered here. So any doubts, anything so far in DNS or in Linux, whatever we discussed so far. That also. Anything? Hmm?
No,
Okay. So yeah, sorry, a little cough. So with this we close the Linux topics. We'll start the ops next. Mm, not tomorrow, not Sunday. Monday, I think holiday, right? I think holy. We'll start from Tuesday. What is the date of Tuesday? 20, I guess. 20, yeah, 20 August. From 20 August, we'll start DevOps. All right. Of course, I'll start the introduction again. So on the first day, it will be intro of DevOps and what are the tools that we're going to discuss in DevOps. And from Wednesday, obviously, official topic will start with the tool, whichever we will discuss. Got it right? So there won't be class for next 3 days. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It's not like okay, there is no class or something. Please do practice because when we working with DevOps, all these Linux commands will come. So the time if you say I don't know, I can't do anything. There's no point of having this, right? So please do practice, and we'll start DevOps on August 20. Okay. Bye all. Thank you.